previewing the big one, Dodgers, Yankees. And again, there's so much you can really talk about in this series, how the power is going to be on full display. I mean, really, if you were looking for a fireworks series, you're happy that these two teams show up. I guess what's your big headline here, Will, for this one? Or what's like the big storyline that you think could sway this series either way?
Whose pitching will be more dominant? That's kind of the short answer. Um, Both teams are hitting really well right now. The Dodgers put up a lot of big numbers versus the Mets, but the Yankees would always eke it out at the end, it seemed like in their games, even if they lost early leads. I think it's really going to come down to, does Roberts either overexpose his bullpen, or does he potentially make the wrong move that he has some time in the past? Or for the Yankees, is it going to be a matter of the Dodgers just offense continues to surge and their pitching cannot keep up?
And I think, a big part of the success of the Yankees this offseason and really in the regular season has their ability to get on base, to be patient, to draw walks. You're really seeing evidence of that in the postseason. And again, when they have guys on, they can hit home runs. You got Soto, Judge, Stanton, that can do that for you. I don't know, man. I've gone back and forth on how I really feel on the series. Dodgers are favored, and I think that's probably right. Um, but I don't know, man. Like I think that the Yankees right now are really the best that I've seen them in a couple. Like this is the most confidence I've had in a Yankees team in the last couple of years, and I know that's hard to say because I, for one, had them getting beat by the Orioles of all teams in the first round. But they look good right now. I do have questions about some of those pieces in the bullpen, if it gets to that point. But I think offensively, I mean, I don't think there's a hitter in the world right now you'd rather have than Juan Soto. I mean, he's really been clutch. I still cannot fathom the fact that I think he's 25 or 26. Like he feels like he's been around
Yeah.
for so long, and he's gonna get like a 13-year deal probably, and he's gonna be around for another 13 years. That's crazy, man. Um, but yeah, as you said, I think the pitching is really going to be the big thing in this series. I mean, you can again look at the numbers for both teams in the playoffs, um, and it's edged out by the Yankees. But do you have the questions that I do about their back end? Because when Clay Holmes comes in, it's still shaky, even though he's not closing games, but also some of those other pieces back there.
I think the Guardians kind of exposed some potential back end issues in the later half of the ALCS. And so that's going to be something that I think we could have potential games where the winner wins 10-8, and it could be a huge back and forth matchup the entire way. So I do think the Dodgers, it's hard. I go back and forth a lot, and I may even change my mind here, but I think that if the Guardians were able to show signs of a weakening back end ALCS in their series, then you really have to be nervous if you're facing the Dodgers.
Who do you think has the biggest impact on the series? I mean, you kind of have your big names, right? You have Soto, you have Otani. There's so many superstars. Like, who do you think dictates a series?
Kind of a weird answer, but I'm going to go with Jack Flaherty. And it's partially because of what I said earlier about it is huge. I think that he get pitches at least 6 innings and keeps the Dodgers in the game in game one. Because if he has to get pulled in like the third inning or something, has a bad outing like he did in the second game versus the Mets, then I think once the Yankees see that Dodger bullpen too many times, they are going to be able to hit them late and potentially force David Roberts' hand too many times and come through.
I mean, I think that's a big thing. I would kind of agree, and I think Yamamoto to a point too. Um, kind of as you alluded to, it's going to come back to this pitching because if Flaherty and Yamamoto don't give them length and don't honestly just pitch well overall, they're gonna be in a little bit of trouble here. Um, I think you gotta count on at least I mean, if you're going to win the series, you got to count on at least 2 or 3 wins from those guys. Um, and can they get that? But I mean, they kind of did in the Mets series in a sense. I know they did have a couple games where they shut out the Mets, but is it also a team that can kind of outslug their pitching problems if they have them? Because it feels
Mhm.
like they literally can score like 20 runs a game if they wanted to.
Yep,
I
definitely.
I mean, it really just feels that way. And again, do you see Tommy Edman being as good as he's been? I don't know. It's hard to say when a guy's batting 407. Look, I think Tommy Edman is an underrated player, but like this is kind of insane what he's doing. Um,
Best cleanup hitter in baseball.
yeah, I know. It's just I think I mean it's a cliche answer, but for me, I do think it comes down to the clutch hitting by the stars. Can Stanton keep it up is another thing too, because if Judge is slacking, you got to have that guy with Soto who's killing the ball, and right now it's Stanton. And that would be my other answer is Aaron Judge. Does he look? This is his big moment. He is the leader of that team, and we know how good he is during the regular season. He's an amazing player, but there is some questions about his performance in the postseason. And you're on the biggest stage. You don't know how many chances of this you're gonna get. I think for him, I mean, he's got to figure a way out. I will say, if the Yankees are gonna win this series, Aaron Judge is going to have to do something for them to win it. Like he's going to have to win them a game, I feel like it feels like he needs to have that magic to get them one and kind of get something going cuz I don't know. I have a feeling Stanton is not going to, homer every at bat like he has been this postseason. And I think you're going to need somebody with Juan Soto. But that is just my thing. Bobby, do you have anything to add on this matchup? I feel like you've been quiet. So
Oh, well, because I've been actually doing producer level
Oh,
activities.
nice. I forgot
Yeah,
you do that.
yeah,
Sean left. You're
it
doing nothing
happens.
now.
It happens. So I mean, I actually am actually going to agree with the caller that we had, the random caller, the longtime
Oh,
listener who
wow.
called in earlier. I definitely think that the video game team is going to show out. Like you said, I did think this is the Dodgers' time, and you were just talking about kind of Judge and how he's starting to perform in the offseason. I absolutely think that's going to come back to bite him. I think the Dodgers at the top of the lineup is just going to queue up, and I think it's just going to be over for the Yankees. I consider this to be a domination. It's probably going to be a 4-1 or 4-2 if I were to kind of place a series on it. I actually think the Dodgers kind of get a hold of the Yankees here. Um, Not to say that the Dodgers don't have a chance. I have a lot more questions about the Yankees than I did the Dodgers. All the questions I had about the Dodgers kind of got proved wrong over the past 2 series. So I think right now this is kind of the Dodgers championship to win.
So wish it was the Padres. I do. Padres were a fun team. Before I ask you for your prediction, Will, do you? Because I'm kind of looking at this potential pitching matchups again. Do you like the look of the Yankees starters, like the back end of their starters, compared to what the Dodgers are going to bring out in the bullpen? Because like game one, you have Garrett Cole, Jack Flaherty. I think it's a clear edge to the Yankees. Carlos Rodon goes game two. Then Clark Schmidt, Lewis Hill, excuse me. I mean, these guys have been good at times in the regular season, but also like this bullpen method has been kind of working for teams. So like in those, games 3 and 4, like who would you kind of favor in those games with the pitching?
I'm gonna split it. I'm not gonna. I still don't favor a bullpen game in the long haul for the postseason. But I mean, if what Bobby said does come true for the Dodgers and they can win like two or three like right off the bat, then you might not really care what happens with that bullpen game. But I'm not gonna say I'm completely trusting of that back end for the Yankees, but I don't trust the bullpen game. So I figure that's just gonna be a split.
Yeah. Um, it's possible. It's just like again, you kind of look at those guys, and there is some success with the bullpen just because you're seeing a lot of different looks and stuff like that. Clark Schmidt's been decent in the postseason, so is Heel, and Heel had a nice regular season before he got hurt. So, I think there is a chance here for the Yankees to kind of Steelers games. I'm like kind of going back and forth in my head because I really, even going into this episode, I was like, I don't really know who I think is going to win this series. And now as I'm talking about it more, I think I'm making it more confusing. So, well, I'll go back to you. What is your overall prediction for this series?
So I feel like I have to break down the two sides I was thinking of. First, I'd like to say that I'm glad that I was correct in the end and that the trend is still holding true that the World Series winner will be a team that finished in the top three in their league in runs scored as it did the last since 2016. However, I was looking at the Phillies and Orioles of the four potential teams, and it was not them. So I was dead wrong on that regard, but I'd like at least some credit at the end of this miserable postseason. But like you, I've been very back and forth. I was leading one way, and I think I'm going another because the Dodgers are the best team in baseball, which historically really isn't that doesn't turn out that well for the best team in baseball. But but they're hitting really well right now. The Yankees have potentially some issues now in the back end of their rotation, their bullpen. Their runners in scoring position numbers are also not the best. They're sub 200 right now, while the Dodgers are over 300. And so I think in the end, um, I'm going to go with Bobby and John on this one. I do think the Dodgers offense is going to carry them through this series. I don't think it's going to go the full seven. I think the Dodgers win it in six. And I think in the end, we're just going to have to say, Dave Roberts, you won this one.
Which, man, if he wins another one, his resume is looking a lot better than,
It'll be
you
the
know,
first full. We can finally take, or at least John will always hold the Mickey Mouse
yeah.
win over or World Series win over their heads, but it'll be their first full season World Series win since what, like 1988. So they can at
Yeah.
least say that.
Yeah. And it seemed that you'd expect to obviously have more success. Than they've had in the past few years, and they're like, screw it, we're getting the best player to ever play the game, and we'll win our World Series that way.
I do
Um,
think it's the pitching in the end, I think for the Yankees is kind of what did it for me. I mean, the Yankees offense put up solid numbers and they definitely were fighting, but the fact that the Yankees pitching blew a lot of leads late in the series kind of makes me think that, that's going to be how the Dodgers beat them in the end. But I can easily see that if pitching becomes an issue for Dave Roberts in the first couple games, that completely shifts.
this is the thing about this because everything is kind of making me lean Dodgers, and I think it's really hard to bet against that offense right now. And look, all the stars that they have, we knew that this is a possibility, and they're doing exactly that. And even getting contributions from other guys too, right? It's really hard to go against them. I don't know. I think the Yankees have a legit shot, and part of me almost, and I don't know why I think this because the last two series, or the Dodgers series in particular, doesn't really say this, but I do kind of see this being like a gritty series. I don't want to say low scoring because I don't think that'll be the case, but I think all the games are going to be really close. It's going to be, you know, three, four, five clutch moments throughout the series that kind of define it. Um, and again, everything is telling me to go Dodgers, but I think I'm going to go Yankees in seven. I'm going to switch it up here and go Yankees in seven. I think I trust I do trust their pitching a bit more. I think they have the advantage in game one, and I think if the Yankees win game one, I think that's going to be huge for them because you take, obviously Flaherty not out of the series, but you take that one, really good starter that that the Dodgers have, and you kind of throw that out the window. And I do like, the back half of their rotation a little bit more. And again, I also think the biggest thing for me is like I said, I think it's going to be a close series, and I just feel like the Yankees have been really clutch, and those guys that have been hitting Soto, Stanton, I think Judge is going to steal them a game. I really do. I think eventually it'll come through. I think it's going to be close, but I think it goes seven, and I'll have the Yankees winning it. So I'm the only one that goes Yankees. So, you
I
know,
always seem to be picking base up to the series based on things that I think could happen, and it's never worked out So
Well,
I'm picking now based on just how things are. Like I could see the Dodgers pitching not working. I could see
yeah.
someone stepping. Like there's all these types of things. And in the end, I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'm sticking with what I'm seeing in front of me and right now. That just seems like the Dodgers have the slightest of edges.
Well, if I was gonna give the Yankees fans another reason to be upset with us, if I went to Dodgers, it was almost guaranteed that the Yankees won the World Series. So, the fact that we all would have picked the Dodgers, Yankees would have won it in like 5 games. But now that I'm on the other side of things, the voodoo goes around a little bit more, and again, I think it could be close. Look, we titled the episode the way we did, the series that nobody really wanted to see. I think there is some truth in that, and the fact that again, it's two teams that spend boatloads of money in a sport that doesn't have a salary cap. At the same time, I do think it could be entertaining as hell, and that's what I'm rooting for at this point. I don't have a dog in the fight per se. Um, I didn't prediction wise. Obviously, these were going to be the two favorites, but I didn't have them uh having this World Series matchup. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I'm hoping for the series that I laid out. I'm hoping every game is going to be a 1-2 run game. We don't have the Mets series where, as you said, I think really like almost every game was essentially a blowout in some way. Like there wasn't really a close game in that Mets Dodgers series for a lot of it. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm being the true casual fan in this one, but I just want to see some good baseball played, man. But it should be fun. Again, we made it. We have gone the whole season and we are here, but we don't really have much more to add, I don't think, gentlemen. Anything else to add to this?
Bring on
Um,
2025.
Phillies better
Bo-
sign Soto.
Bobby, I see an empty
Yeah, you're asking
Citizens
the two
Bank
Phillies
Park
guys what
behind
they
you.
want.
You see
Yes,
what?
I see an empty Citizens Bank Park behind you. That's fitting.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
so maybe next year, but of
Maybe
course
next
the
year.
Pirates are going to beat them in the NLCS next year. So, uh,
Whatever.
Pirates Tigers World Series
Pirates,
Oh
Tigers,
2025.
my!
World Series.
uh,
Dear God,
that
help me.
that look, it would be a great thing. We go from the big money spenders next year, the gritty Tigers versus the Buccos. It'd be great. That's what we're
Brave,
hoping
dude,
for.
just brother, just trade away Paul Skeens like everyone knows you're gonna do. Just get it done already, all right?